Mason, say hiya. Well, I'm glad you're having fun. Welcome back to the video series on how to fight bigger and stronger opponents. This is video number 2. Now in video number 1, I showed you how having a solid front kick when combined with some elusive tactics can help you to easily stop a huge charging opponent, strike a little fear in his mind, and settle the pace of the fight down so you can move to the next step of your strategy where you basically beat the crap out of the guy. So if you haven't seen that video, you should watch it first. There's links above this one. Now in this video, I'll show you the best way to throw a front kick, and I'll show you how to make it so disgustingly powerful, you'll be able to end a fight in one single kick. Look, like anything else that's mixed martial arts or fighting related, it all comes down to technique. If you have good technique, you're gonna build brutal and gruesome weapons and you'll do a ton of damage. And if you have crappy technique, you might just get run over. So let's nerd out on technique for 10 minutes and then you'll have a game-changing weapon. Now the first thing you need to do when you're throwing a front kick is pull your leg up into a position that I call the chamber. You're gonna hike your knee up as high as you can into your chest. You're gonna even pull your toes up towards your face and kind of bundle everything up in here. Okay, it's really important to hit this position before you throw your kick, because if you start to extend your leg before you reach this position, you end up lashing your kick up. It's like a snap upwards, sending all your power up into that guy's elbows, and all you're really doing is just breaking your toes on his elbows. The only person that a kick with this trajectory is going to hurt is you. So don't do that. You want to lash your kick out. So when I bring my foot up into the chamber, boom, I can fire my kick out, and that's where you transfer your power into the guy's body. If you chamber your kick, it makes it practically impossible for you to lash your foot up, and it has nowhere to go but out. So you have a technically sound kick from the beginning. Now once you've pulled your leg up into the chamber, the next step is for you to lash your kick out while you lean your torso back. Your lean back is the most important part of the front kick, especially when it comes to power. Look, your upper body acts as a counterbalance. All of this mass goes backwards, that projects your knee forwards, and it also allows you to put all the driving force of your hips right behind your kick. Just to weirdly put this into perspective for you, if you were to back yourself up to somebody and then smash them with your upper back by leaning back as violently as you can, that's exactly how much force you add to your kick by leaning back. So says Newton's third law: for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. But in the case of your kick, all of this force is concentrated behind a small surface area and ideally into one of your opponent's vulnerable zones. It's obviously going to do a lot of damage. Now, on top of all that, it adds a significant amount of range. How much range, you ask? Just to show you how much range this adds, I can't hold my leg straight out, but I can pick my knee up. You see, I'm about a foot away from Shovelhead, but if I lean back, I can actually get to the point where I can make contact with him. That means that I can kick him from a foot further away, or if he's in my range, I can drive my foot, boom, another foot deeper into his guts. I can compress his stomach and his ribs that much more. I can deflate his lungs that much more. Now that's obviously the difference between a fight ending right then and there versus the fight continuing on. If you stomp your heel a foot deep into the guy's midsection, the fight is going to be done. Sometimes. For the last bit of basic technique, don't forget to pull your kick back to the chamber after you're done. People who tend to let their kick lazily fall to the ground because they leave it extended, they get pulled forward and they end up getting pulled off balance. Now I'm trying to stay away from this dude, so if I throw this kick and I miss and I move in on him, well, I might get cracked in the face. So if you throw your kick and you fire it back to the chamber, you're in a position to keep scampering, moving around wherever you need to, and that keeps you in the fight instead of getting knocked out. So don't skip step 3 and get clobbered. And for all you folks wondering, well, hey, why doesn't the guy just catch your foot? Well, it's a swift return back to the chamber that makes that incredibly difficult to do. The guy will have one instant to grab your foot, and in most cases, that's not going to be enough. Take note. And slow-mo. It's quick. And he'll say hiya at some point. I swear it. Hey, back to people hypothetically catching your foot. Now this of course also depends on where you actually kick the guy, which brings us to our next section. Hey, where should I kick this guy? Now my absolute favorite spot to land a front kick is directly to my opponent's solar plexus with my heel. Boom! If you hit somebody there even with a weak front kick, the fight is done. The guy won't be able to breathe, and therefore he won't be able to continue. A heel to the solar plexus will end a fight every time. Now the only problem with this is that it's also a pretty easy kick to catch. Look, it's right in the wheelhouse where the guy can reach down and grab your foot. So if you don't know how to get your leg back, that might be problematic for you. Also, there's stuff in the way. Look, this is pretty high on my opponent's torso. That means I have to navigate through elbows, forearms. If I'm fighting barefoot, I can hurt my toes, I can hurt my feet. If I got shoes on, I tend not to care so much. Drive my foot into whatever, you're not really gonna feel it that much. So a kick to the solar plexus is a one-strike fight ender, but you have to contend with these elbows, and that makes it both a tougher kick and a riskier kick to land. Of course, depending on your footwear. I smite people with my Birkenstocks whenever possible. Now, a lot of people also really like the old front kick stomp to the kneecap. And I admit I also like this technique, even though I don't use it that much. Brandon Vera absolutely destroyed Keith Jardine's knee with this, and you can absolutely blow out your opponent's knee as well. Here's a great example. Boom. And that's the fight.
Oh, he trashed his knee. That was a linear strike.
Now, this technique can be incredibly brutal, but you don't have to injure somebody with it to change the pace of the fight. This attack has a very profound psychological effect. Shovel, if we're fighting each other and I start stomping at your kneecap, what are you gonna think?
I'm gonna be worried about my knee getting blown out.
Absolutely, that's just the natural inclination. People are concerned. Fear of injury creates hesitation. So if that guy was previously charging and throwing fists at you, well, now we've moved to the nice chill portion of the fight a lot quicker because we've, issued a little fear. Now look, I'm sure you're probably all fired up to go out and start kicking people in the kneecaps, but keep in mind, this is a difficult kick to land. Look, a knee is a small target, certainly a whole lot smaller than your torso, and on top of that, you can't really just look right at it and kick it without giving away the strike. For the most part, you have to be focused on the guy's upper body, so this ends up being kind of a no-look strike on a smaller target, and that's not easy to pull off. The one benefit of this kick that I will add is that it's a tough one to catch because it's so low. It's much further out of the guy's nice, easy catching range, so there is that. So is that where you want us to kick people, or what? Now the spot that I kick the most when I'm throwing front kicks is actually at the very lowest portion of my opponent's abdomen, pretty much directly even with the waistline. The reason being, if Shovel has his hands up and he's in a good fighting stance, this spot down here is about as far away as I can get from his elbows and from the natural defense that's provided by the guy's forearms if his hands are up. And it's a tough kick to catch. This is the same kick that Conor McGregor used on Chad Mendes like 50 times. Boom, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, boom, bing, bam, and boom. Mendes is a top-notch wrestler, and he certainly wasn't able to catch any of these kicks. And look at this lean back. That's what I'm talking about. If Chad Mendes' arms literally doubled in length, he still wouldn't hit Conor McGregor. That's the benefit of kicking with the ball of your foot and using this kind of lean. And hey, buy a UFC Fight Pass. Thanks, Dana White. So the solar plexus is up in here. This nice low band is pretty safe, and in most cases, the guy's not going to be able to block it if you squeeze it in with the, in the right spot. Now again, with this, you're going to dig the ball of your foot in the guy's abdomen, bink, and I suppose theoretically, if you were aiming directly in the center of his stomach and you drove your heel forward, there's a chance that if you miss the band of his stomach, you at least catch him in the nuts, and that could also have a positive effect on the fight. Just be careful about attacking a man's jewels. Just remember that if some dude knocks over your beer or insults your mom, it's not worth annihilating his ability to reproduce with a front kick to the nads. That's f***ed up. I stay away from the nads because I believe in fighting with some degree of honor, and also I don't like giving my opponent any bright ideas. Plus, it's just pain. I've fought through it before, and so could you. Now, so far I mentioned that you can blast people with your heel or you can jam the ball of your foot into their body, but which one is better? Now, this is more than just a shitty Nike ad. This is one more little secret to kick power hidden within the massive glory of Shovelhead's foot. Now look, you can see with Shovelhead, if he points his foot and he's actually kicking with the ball of his foot, he adds maybe 4 or 5 inches of range to this kick. So he points that out, he can make contact. That's great if you want to maximize your range and if you want to keep the guy away a little bit. However, this does not create the most solid or devastating impact. As I push on Shovelhead's foot here, you can see that this thing has some give. It acts as like a shock absorber. It's like a springy little airbag for your kick, and you don't want that because that's like a cushion for your opponent. So if Shovelhead tucks his toes back and he strikes with his heel on a front kick, you can see that that thing does not move. There is no shock absorber, and that means every single ounce of hemorrhage-inducing power is transferred into your opponent's body, and it's hard and it hurts. The heel is the most powerful and the most destructive kick you can throw. The toe is the longest, but again, with a slight shock absorber. Well, so far we got kicks to the knee and kicks to the abdomen and kicks to the solar plexus and kicks with your heel and kicks with your toes. So if you're confused, it's fine. I'm going to sort it all out in a second. But first, we got to give an unnecessary shout out to the glory of a good old-fashioned front kick boot to the face. Which I don't recommend you do right now, but whatever. These kicks can literally dart right through somebody's defense. And in most cases, they're both unexpected and unusually devastating. And why not throw a little jumping front kick? Hey, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is you miss your kick and your leg ends up on top of the guy's shoulder and then he drives into you, you end up on your back, and then the guy beats the crap out of you. And that's no good. So let's sort this whole mess out. Now, after all this information about front kicks, it's important that we kind of stop and revisit our initial intention with the kick, which is to stop a huge charging opponent dead in his tracks and to strike some fear in the guy's mind. Now, for this reason, I find it to be very important not to miss your kick. Look, it's difficult to miss a huge guy's torso. Even if he blocks your kick, you're still going to stop him in his tracks a bit, and you'll still make him respect the amount of power that you have in your kick. However, if you throw a kick at the guy's face or if you throw a kick at the guy's knee and he's charging and he's not slowing down and all he sees is red and you miss, well, that could kind of throw a wrench in your strategy for a second. I prefer this attack to have the highest percentage of success possible. So my official recommendation is that at the beginning of a fight with a huge opponent, I want you to use the ball of your foot and I want you to drive it into the low band of the guy's abdomen. Here it is again, super long and super safe. Look, this is the longest strike you have, so the guy's unlikely to be able to reach out and hit you. It's not likely to hit elbows and it's not likely to be caught, so use that and try to strike some fear into the guy. Now, if that's not working and the kick is not powerful enough and he's just running through it, that's when I want you to switch to your heel. Use the incredible stopping force of your heel, try to target the solar plexus, really knock his wind out and do some major damage. Now, if at any point when you're throwing kicks with the ball of your foot to the low band or using the heel, he starts trying to catch your kick, that's when I want you to switch down to the guy's knee. Try to use the mental aspect of that and try to buckle his knee if possible. And again, you can always start switching back and forth. He's not going to try to catch the kick to the knee, so if you throw one down there, maybe then you switch back up into the solar plexus so you can start confusing the guy a little bit, okay? But this is your order of operations. Low band first, solar plexus second. If he tries to catch, switch to the knee. So, that's it, right? That's the end of the video? No! No, of course not! It's never over! It never f***ing ends! I can't bring myself to end this video until I tell you the best way to physically build your front kick, which is to repeatedly kick a moving object as hard as you can, and yes, it must be moving. Ideally, a heavy bag is great, but look, this is eye-foot coordination. And you have to get used to actually striking a target that's moving towards you, engaging that timing. It's like a trip to the batting cages for your feet. I don't give a crap if you have to hang a log from a tree branch and tape pillows to it. You need to create a convenient way for you to kick a moving target, ideally as hard as you can, perhaps 100 times on each leg. Now beyond that, there's always some amount of conditioning that your body has to go through before this weapon will really be ready for use. The first time I jammed the ball of my foot into somebody's elbow, I almost shit my pants in pain. So look, make sure as you're training, you're really digging the ball of your foot into the bag. That gets your toes used to being bent backwards as they kind of dig into this thing. And as you're striking with your heel, you're gonna notice that your hamstring gets taxed in a very different way. Look, this is all part of conditioning your body and just part of the wild world of foot conditioning.
Foot conditioning. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh, this? Conditioning my toes.
That is foul.
Yep. Get it done.
Now once we booted the guy in the stomach a few times and the pace calms down, that's when all the real fun begins. That's when we get to close distance, knock the guy's teeth flying across the room, take him down, choke him to sleep, snap his joints, and all that kind of fun stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in video number 3. So keep an eye out for that one. Now in the meantime, hey, like this video and leave a comment or a question, and why not tell your friends about all the glorious savagery you're picking up here at Fight Smart. I just ran out of air as I was talking. And otherwise, I'll see you in video number 3. So have a fantastic day. And for anybody who's actually still watching to this point, to reward your passion for front kicks and for watching this long. A little secret form should have just popped up beneath this video. Put in your name and email address and maybe I'll hook you up with a little bonus something. We'll see.